So I'm actually talking on behalf of Rafaela, who is the principal of the firm, but he couldn't be here, so it's a pleasure for me to introduce this project to you. I wanted to start off with this image. It's from Jenny Holzer. It's from like 1985 in Times Square, and she's kind of making it clear to millions of people that housing is a public affair, and that we're kind of in the middle of a humanitarian crisis. And this humanitarian crisis is the homelessness in New York. So there are 3,75,000 homeless in New York right now. It's hard to know where to begin, what to do. But homelessness is kind of a tricky issue. There are a lot of things involved and a lot of words associated with why people are homeless, especially in New York. You know, we can talk about sort of natural disasters. The natural disasters of 2005, definitely. You know, different reasons, loss, war, displacement. In 2003, as Ryan mentioned, the design community came together, and they came together to give solutions. Common Ground, which is an NGO, and the Architecture League of New York sponsored this competition called First of Housing. So the idea was to ask the competitors to design individual dwelling units, prototypes, and these dwelling units would go inside of an abandoned building in the Bowery. There would be 19 of them per floor, and they would be laid out in rows. So the Bowery, those of you who are not familiar, is in the lower side of Manhattan. It's definitely a very edgy neighborhood. It has sort of a history, definitely of homelessness, and right now it's being gentrified in many different ways, some are positive. This is a picture of the building. It's the Andrews house right here. So the Andrews is really a flop house, and the idea is that it gives long-term housing to, right now, almost 43 men. And what Common Ground wanted to do was to switch this around and give short-term housing. So what they would do is they would generate these units, put them inside, and give short-term housing to people from the street and the existing tenants. So the kind of like the idea of a flop house versus a shelter is that a flop house really provides you with like individual space, something you can lock up and have your own private possessions. For example, this would be a shelter, and this would be sort of like a room in a flop house. These are actual pictures of the building. You see these long sort of corridors, it's very narrow. It's also the building. So what Common Ground wanted to do also was to build up 3 more stories on the 6 stories that already existed, and the renovation is complete. So the only thing that they're keeping really is the skeleton and the structure. Everything else is getting gutted up. This is just a quick diagram of how they wanted to do it. The first 3 floors, well, the last 3 floors would be for existing tenants. The next 2 would be for veterans, which would probably be given a longer term. Then we would have 3 floors of the people that are coming from the street. And that's a floor plan of the existing building. So, well, our firm won from one of the designs, and our project is called Kit of Parts. And Kit of Parts is really a collection of prefabricated parts that you can sort of put together and easily assemble. You can remove the components and reconfigure them so that you really are dealing with a personalized space and you can custom it. The space sort of moves with you, transforms you. This is an image of the project. It's a little little hard to describe all the components, but basically it features, it's a single unit, is 66 square feet. It stands about 8.5 feet high, and it contains one bed, a desk, storage bins, a soft storage unit. So kind of like the models. These are some images of the interior, so we ended up, this is the soft storage unit, the wall units here. The ceiling is exposed. That's something that the competition asked for. The materials that we used, and I can pass them around. Kind of range from, they're very colorful, light, durable materials. Some of them are used in marital and aerial uses. The material suggested for the actual walls is called Durboard, which is this one. And it's a straw-based board with paper. So it's sustainable, it's great insulation, and it lasts about 10 times more than any sheetrock will ever. Just an example of the materials. So the assembly of the kit parts, what we did is we ended up kind of putting together like an assembly manual. Kind of looks like this. So you would really have everything in your hands to be able to assemble this yourself. Usually the assembly time that we estimate is 6 to 8 hours. If you have the right tools and if you're skilled, it's very easy. Like I mentioned, the unit is actually meant to be configured in different ways. We kind of speculated 3 types of users, which would be the loaner, the creator, and the collector. So we even kind of mapped it out within the 21 days and assumed that maybe one person could come in there being a loaner and have their unit a certain way. Then they would become a creator and end up being a collector. That's one of the prototypes that we built. The packaging is very interesting and very important to this project because it contains the entire project. You see in the crate holds all of the kitted parts, and then the walls of the crate are cement, tiles, so that the crate itself becomes the platform. Like that. And it can really be shipped in a van or a truck and be transported to almost anywhere. Especially in countries that don't have enough infrastructure to really, sophisticated infrastructure for buildings. It's very easy. The kitted part is also a lot about community. The whole idea of building your own shelter is building community. Also, the door on the shelter has openings so that they can interact within the building, and then the long, narrow hallways really become sort of marketplaces or interior streets. So, a little bit more on the community part of this project. Although this is intended for a homeless population, and on this competition, but really our vision is more than that. Like we think that this could also be applied to many other situations, especially all the relief we need to give migrating communities. These units that you see here are actually a proposal to waterproof the walls and include you can include a concrete foundation and then really put these units outside, the exterior. The units can also be put together and made larger units for family or for a larger facility and hospital. The next images I'm going to show you, we had a few exhibitions of this unit. So a few of them were in Williamsburg,